Mercy Brown, The New England Vampire, Exeter, Rhode Island, 1892. Winter lay heavy across the village, snow clinging to the roofs, the trees skeletal against a pale sky. But the coldest thing in Exeter was not the weather. It was the fear that crept into every home, a fear with a name whispered behind closed doors: vampire. The Brown family had been struck hard by consumption, what we now call tuberculosis. Mercy Lena Brown, just 19 years old, wasted away in her bed, her once bright eyes sinking into her skull, her breath rattling in her chest. Before her, her mother and sister had already succumbed. And as her brother Edwin grew weak with the same sickness, whispers began to rise among the neighbors. It could not simply be disease. No, they said, someone was feeding on the living. When Mercy finally died in January of that year, her body was carried into the earth, the ground so frozen that it was impossible to dig. Instead, she was placed in a crypt, sealed away until spring. But Edwin continued to grow weaker, his skin paling, his life draining from him day by day. The villagers gathered, torches burning in the cold night. Their faces were grim, their breaths white in the air. The conclusion was simple to them. One of the dead was not resting. One of them had risen unseen to feed upon the living boy. The Brown family, grief-stricken, desperate, agreed. And so they led the villagers to the cemetery. They dug up the graves of Mercy's mother and sister first, but both were nothing but bones. Then they came to Mercy. When they pried open her coffin, a hush fell over the crowd. Though months had passed, her body looked fresh, almost as if she were asleep. Her cheeks still had color. Her lips were stained red as though she had fed. When the doctor touched her chest, he found her heart still full of blood. The villagers cried out. This was the proof. Mercy was no longer just a girl, she was a vampire, preying on her own brother from beyond the grave. By torchlight, they cut out her heart. They placed it upon a stone and set it aflame. The smell of burning flesh mingled with the smoke as the crowd watched in grim silence. Once reduced to ash, the remains were mixed into a tonic and given to Edwin to drink, the belief being that consuming the vampire's heart would free him. But the cure never came. Edwin died within the year, as pale and hollow as his sister before him. Mercy's ashes scattered into the wind, but her story lingered. For generations, people spoke of the New England vampire panic, of the girl whose body defied death, whose family believed she haunted them from her grave. And even now, visitors to Chestnut Hill Cemetery in Exeter claim the ground feels colder near her grave. Some say they've seen a young woman standing between the stones, her face pale in the moonlight, her eyes watchful, as though she still waits for her next breath of life. Mercy Brown was buried in the earth long ago, but her name lives on, whispered in the dark, the last vampire of New England.